What up? You're now tuning into the frequency of Prism. Let's get grounded, let's get aligned. I'm gonna do this little video, however long it's gonna take, to discuss what makes a phenomenal year, like an outstanding, exceptional, game-changing, phenomenal year. I put a little bit of thought to this, but first it's important to just get grounded. When I think about what makes a phenomenal year, I think about, well, first we have to be in a powerful position to be able to express ourselves. And when I think of self-expression, I think, number one, let's get grounded and let's get aligned and let's get a bigger, broader picture of what it is that we're trying to create. So when I think of creating a powerful year, I think of starting off on the right tone, starting off on the right foot. And what better way to ground myself, and this is kind of my selfish, I guess, tendencies, but no shame in being selfish. First you got to do you powerfully, and then you can serve and show up for others and have a meaningful, purposeful life. So when I think of how do I ground myself, this special, beautiful day, looks sunny outside, I think of what's the most powerful, realist message. That's how I ground myself. It's like, I have a message to deliver today. What's gonna flow through me? And that calling is telling me to talk about being real and acknowledging, like, what's the difference between being fake and real, and talking about that character, that attitude, that energy that we show up to a brand new day or a brand new year. So let's get it. This video, when I think of creating content, like really meaningful content, so that you could take something away, I hope that the time that you're spending online or with whoever you're influencing, that you're mindfully aware of what the takeaway is. Like when you truly listen to someone, you could have a sense of where they're coming from or what their heart is. So just think about, what does this message say to you? If you, for however you and I are connected through this journey, at the end of this video, think about, what really touched you? Because we're going to touch on a lot of broad different subjects. Some of it may be spiritual, some of it may be personal, some of it may be financial. We're going to talk, three-dimensionally, how to have a phenomenal year. But make sure that whatever you take from this video, that you hold yourself accountable to it and go apply it and be like, that was speaking to me. And when I think about creating powerful content, meaningful content, I think about that one individual. So how I'm framing this, and maybe I'm going to say, I want to respect your time. I want to kind of show you who this is for. And if you don't meet the criteria, you can't relate to it, then maybe you should be spending your time, listening to someone else. But this video is specifically for someone that has experienced a lot of turbulence, and that at some point has had significant losses, willingly, unwillingly. God took certain things from your life, or if you're courageous enough, you gave them up. You said, I'm done with that, and I'm moving on, because you trusted that there was more ahead of you, something else. So if you have experienced some sort of loss, or if you come from a background that was abusive, especially in your childhood, that's like where I come from abuse early on, and from a lot of brokenness and a lot of emptiness, and having to give things up, and things were always taken from me. And I think if you can appreciate that, I think I know this message is going to be powerful, and this is going to change the whole way that you look at what it means to have like an outstanding, phenomenal year. And we're going to first begin with recognizing real versus fake. I think it's important to acknowledge, like, what is real, what is fake? Because when we show up to the world in a fake, superficial, very limiting, only external, we only value the external, we're not in our full potential. So for you to have a powerful potential year with lots of change, we need to look at, what's the realness in you? And when you can tap into the realness in you and stand in your truth for what your truth means to you, at that point, then, you're at the crossroad, and you can begin to reap the fruits of the benefits of, a really outstanding year. So the difference for me, I'm going to define real versus fake, is when we live in this world of what we value. We can tell a lot about who you are by what you value. And when you value certain things in yourself, you're naturally going to value it and seek it in other people, appreciate it, love it, and you're going to learn to reject the things that you no longer value. So in a way, we want to be able to communicate powerfully with our environment, with everyone, but first we have to start with communicating with ourselves. What do we value in ourselves? What do we love about ourselves? What are we nourishing, cultivating, and creating, fostering in ourselves? That is real. That is our truth. And that's where, when you look back at all the years that made the biggest impact, where you turn the corner, the most pivotal moments and experiences in your life, if you look back at that trajectory, will absolutely come from the most hardest decisions that you've had to make. So when we look back, let's make sure that we think with the end in mind. When you think at the end of 2022, think about, what do you want to create? Maybe at the end of 2022, you just want to have certain things, or you have certain financial goals or personal goals. But if you're looking at, I want to create the most game-changing year, then we need to look at, how can this year change me the most? Because everything starts inside, and we're building strength from the inside out. So when we talk about fostering character that comes deeply rooted from the real you, that is from a place of development, I believe. Because fake is when you value, when you're gonna have a so-so average year, you're gonna value and put your attention towards the things that don't really flourish the character and the personality and the attitude and the overall energy. And your overall energy is what's going to attract and create everything that you're trying to aspire for. And I always talk about that. So the realness in you, the truth in you, will be that development and getting closer towards accepting the lessons that you need to embody to become and go towards your truth, whatever that may be. And that is going to colorfully become clearer and clearer as you start to align more of your truth. You don't have to have all your purpose defined and know exactly everything. To be in the flow state, you got to just surrender and be open to what God and the universe are trying to create for you. And we create friction and tension, and we walk away from our highest truth when we don't accept that openness, that free-spirited ability to flow, when we're only valuing the things that are external of us and superficial. So what I'm talking about, when we look at the opposite of real versus fake, someone that is fake, someone that has to put on a mask, or is that so concerned only about their image, is someone that only values the external thing, because they don't value the internal components of themselves, character, personality. So we want to make sure that starting this year, we really look at, hey, what can I appreciate about myself that's true? And how can I value less of things? How can I value less of money? How can I value less of all the how could I stop surrendering my power to all these external things? And so when we only value money, and I'm not saying that money's not important, I'm not saying that things are important, that having aspirations to create and expand, I'm not saying that you can't be an ambitious individual in a modern society. I'm just saying, where does your heart lie? When your heart and attention, and you'll know where your heart lies when you look at, where does your attention go to? Can your attention only see the external beauty in someone? Does your attention focus only on money? Does your attention focus only on creating the things? When you're thinking about 2022, are you thinking, yo, I need to get more money, I need to get a raise, I need to get more a car, I need to purchase a home, I need to do, life got you so wrapped up around its thumb, around its finger, that all you could see is these external things. Because you think indirectly, subconsciously, you think that there's more value to you, and you think that you're worth more when you have these things. Why? Because you get to show them off. Because your value naturally, inherently, comes from the self-image that you project. And that's okay, because there's no shame in that, because that's how society is set up for us to say, hey, I have this, I have these things. So we find our value from how much we make, from our career, from our positions, from our financial status, from how much we make. That's how the schooling system and society has, that's how this shit works. So you need to accept that. So there's no shame in that. But the older that you get and you start to only value those things and prioritize them by giving them your attention. So just look at the energy. Look at the energy of how you're starting 2022 and what are you aspiring for and creating. There's two different people. There's a real ass motherfucker, and that's who this video is for. It's for someone that's like, yo, I want to create significant, lasting, long-term change that's gonna make me stronger and beautiful from the inside out. That motherfucker is thinking, yo, I want to learn new lessons. I want to surrender to new creative projects. I want to create more freedom, more flexibility. I want to learn more. I want to just bask in new, like finding out new sides of me, the mysteries of, you know, what can I become when I'm not so fixed and attached and emotionally, you know, attached to these responsibilities. So that realness in you is like, yo, I'm just open, right? The fakeness in you, which is very limiting, which is not going to allow you to have a significant game-changing year, is you're just going to repeat the same patterns over and over. So in 2022, you're like, yo, I just need to get that car. I just need to get that home. I just need to make more money. I just need to pay off some debt. It's like all that is just expected of you. It's like when you're a professional. You're like, yo, I just want to be a professional. Like when I used to do consulting. A lot of my clients used to say, yo, I want my brand to look professional. I want it to be on point, on order. And I would say, hey, your business, that's expected of you. Your business should be on point. Your business should be organized. Your business should be professional. Your business, you should be punctual. Like, don't be aspiring towards that. That's what everybody can attain. I would aspire towards uniqueness, brilliance, unique positioning, and to have a creative, valuable spin to your business. So that's how I would build your business when I was consulting your business and your brand creatively, right? So when we think about a phenomenal, outstanding year, I wouldn't be thinking about just all the normal things that are expected of us, right? It's expected of us to show up to the world, you know, cleanly, organized, punctually, and professionally. You know, like as far as your endeavors and your academic, your professional ambitions, like that's just expected of you. Like you better have your shit straight as far as like your money game, your career, all that should be on point. But I wouldn't give that so much value that it completely occupies your mind. So a real year, so stop that. Stop every single year saying, okay, this year I'm gonna get this thing. And stop worshiping money. That's the problem, is you worship money only because you think money will make you. But really, money never made the man. Man made money. So that means that when you want to be powerful and regain your power back, you acknowledge that a great year doesn't come from making more money. Like it comes from being healthier. It comes from being wiser, from being able to see the truth and to be able to really accept and adopt those unique qualities that are going to make you brighter, more magnetic. All right, so that's real versus fake. I want to move on from that. So I don't want this video to become too long, but it's important to acknowledge that. It's like, what's the energy of how you're starting this year? Are you asking for the lessons that are going to make you greater? Are you willing to fail? Are you willing to, stumble and get back up so that you can build stronger, like thicker skin and more character? Are you open to that? Are you open to taking on new, courageous, and adventures that might stray from where normal people, where the common people? So to have a real phenomenal year, you got to say, yo, I'm exceptional and I'm different than others. So that means you got to pursue and value different things than others. Most people are only valuing money and only valuing external things and only see value in their image. So that's all they can be attracted to is the image, right? So that's living on the surface. That's a very limiting view. And if you're spiritual, I'm going to hold you accountable to that, because being what's called a surface dweller is when you can only see the surface, because you're disconnected to your intuition. You're disconnected to, you don't understand energy enough. And when you're a spiritual individual, you can sense people's energy of where they're coming from, of where they're going. It's like a third eye sort of, and you see the value in people based off their personality, their attitude, and their energy, and that's what they have to bring, versus just how either good they look or what's on the outside, whether it be an individual or an environment, right? When you walk into an environment, you're like, yo, this is a beautiful environment and I appreciate it and it's valuable. Or you could also go into an environment such as nature and say, yo, man, I feel the peaceness and the tranquility and the power from this open, oxygen, green, vast, luscious space of nature, right? So it looks beautiful, green, the mountains, the skies, the blues, everything's rich and colorful, but you sense its power from how it makes you feel. All right, so that's how nature makes you feel. So I would start to think, so that's seeing beyond the surface, right? You see beauty, but you also feel its power and its peace and its tranquility. All right, so that's value that's a more holistic value. All right, so that's the difference between real and fake and only being stuck on the surface. So don't be a superficial person, because that's what most of the world is aspires towards, and that's very limiting. So let's talk about the most attractive quality that you must possess in order to have like a real outstanding year. And for me, this is truly what turns me on, and this is how I relate and connect to people. And really, when I think about this message, I think about this message being for you if you've been through a lot and if you've had to reset your life. And very few people have had to reset their life. And when I say reset, man, I mean start from ground zero. Either willingly, God and the universe just took shit from you, or you gave it up, like I said previously. But you know what zero feels like. You know what emptiness feels like. And if you've been through that or had a slice of that feeling of just feeling empty and feeling like, damn, like I lost it all, then at that point, I want you to know that you're blessed. So I want you to know that you have the potential to make 2022 amazing, because you have tasted that darkness and you have been at that point where very few people have gone through. Most of the world is so sucked up in modern society and modern things and responsibilities and bills and these superficial aspirations that they haven't ever sensed what it feels like to start from zero, to be at the top and then be knocked down. And God does that because He wants to rebuild you. He first, before He can rebuild you, if you want to know if you're really chosen to be super brilliant, if you've given enough of the qualities and expressed enough of the energy to say, yo, I'm fucking great and I have the grit, I have the character, then God's gonna choose you and say, yo, all right, are you sure? Yeah, are you that motherfucker? Then I'm gonna break you. I'm gonna break you down. I'm gonna take things from you and I'm gonna strip you down of everything so that for you to find out who you truly are. And so that right there puts you in a whole league of your own, and that sets you up so differently than what most people are accustomed to, because most people have so many contracts, leases, agreements, emotional attachments. They're bound by so many things, and yet they want to be free, but this world has got them pinned down by bills, responsibilities, like careers. Like they have so much in their bag as far as baggage and responsibilities that they can't serve from a pure place, because they have all that. And so when God wants to work through you, He's like, yo, I want to work through you. I want to show you who you truly are, and I want to open up the vastness of your potential. But you're so wrapped up in responsibilities and bills and fucking debt or fucking relationships, or you're so clogged up in this world that God can't work through you, because He's like, yo, your schedule's so booked and you're so overloaded with worldly things that God can't flow through you because you're not light enough, because you're not empty. And sometimes when God chooses us to transform us and to build us back up, He first resets and He says, whoa, reset. And sometimes that means that like some life-changing fucking crazy, like eye-opening experience happens. And for me, that was a big journey, like traveling through Central America. But I don't want to go on a rant about me. I want to talk about you. And I want to first acknowledge you and recognize you for, number one, relating to my content and to being attracted to this message. If you're listening to this message so far, this message is likely for you. So I wouldn't go on watching this video if you haven't ever experienced that feeling of emptiness, or that feeling of lacking something, or frustration and pain when God has taken something from you. And it's a very confusing state when God takes something from you and you're like, why? The universe just strips you of something after you've invested so much time and energy into something, and then all of a sudden it's fucking gone. And it allows you to see that a lot of your value came from that relationship to that. Whether it was a business, like I gave up my business, I gave up a relationship, I gave up habits. And then after all that, and my value, my sense of self came from this relationship. It came, like my whole identity came from my relationship to being a consultant, to being a coach, and to being a creative coach. And my whole identity came to that. And so when I gave up my career, my consulting creative career, I was like, yo, who the fuck am I? And in the midst of that turmoil, it's hard to see like the potential and the glory in that. And how from here, shit, all you could do is reign if you accept the path. But when you're in that darkness, all you could see is shit, I'm nothing. Fuck, who am I? Right? Because now you're like, yo, I spent so much energy into that, and I put so much love into that career. After it's stripped away and you give it up, you're like, yo, it's a dark place. But I want you to know that God put you through that so that you could reset and just have that's the most beautiful gift that you can have and honor, is to be able to, restart again. That's a blank canvas, man. That's the beauty. That's neutrality. To me, that's peace, right? And maybe when you're in the midst of it, you're not going to be able to see it, but I'm telling you, this is a beautiful thing. So if you've had to reset, and if you've had to start from zero, and you willingly, courageously gave something up, man, that says a lot about you. And I want to let you know that, yo, I respect you. In fact, I fucking love you, because I know what that feels like, and I know what you've been through, and I know that you feel different, because when you look at the rest of the world has all these things that you don't have. And your mind is so fucked up, because you see yourself and your worth is less when you look at everybody else and they have all these things that you don't have. You're like, damn, I wish I could be like that. And so you live in this comparison world, because God and the universe has stripped so much from you, you've given so many things up to whatever passions you've romantically pursued. Like when I think of my athletic sports and surfing and all that, man, I gave so much up just to go experience that. And because I went and I surfed my brains out for 2 years, and I devoted my life to fitness and being active and being a creative, I don't have a lot of the things that other people have. And so I had a very limiting perspective on my worth. So I want to let you know that, shit, you're the fucking gift. You are the miracle of what humanity actually needs, is to have people that have less on their plate. And when you have less on your plate, when you have less responsibilities, when you have less of what all this world values, and you all of a sudden put on a different lens and you see, holy shit, like I'm just potential. And I'm glad that I gave all those things up. I'm glad that my worth comes from who I'm becoming and who I am in the very present. And that ability to reign in your own happiness, in your own acceptance in the very moment, without all the other things, it takes a lot of maturity to get to that point, to be able to say, yo, the game's not over, but the game doesn't have to be over for me to find value and worth in myself and what I'm becoming. And that's how you find worth in the present. And finding worth in the present is something that you must really hold on to if you want to have a phenomenal year. Because to have a great year, you're going to have to see worth in yourself. When you look in the mirror and you're like, yo, I'm a fucking badass, not because of the things that I have or what I drive or my position at work. Yo, I'm a fucking badass because of the individual that I'm becoming, because I've surrendered and accepted my own journey and I pursue my passions. and where your passions are, where your heart is. It takes a lot of courage to pursue that and say no to other things. So your worth this year in 2022 must come from that split second when you make eye contact in the mirror and you say, damn, I respect you and I fucking love you because I see the courage in your willingness and your ability to go for what you love, what you truly are passionate about. And outside of money, outside of things, you value energy, you value spirituality, and you value just the essence of who you are. And to be able to look in the mirror and see yourself and recognize that greatness is something very beautiful. And it's also something very powerful. And when you ground yourself to say, hey, 2022, I'm gonna really fall in love with myself because I respect myself and I value myself, who I am outside of all the things that society wants me to have, that society wants me to become. And so now when you look at 2022 from that perspective of what I've discussed, you're gonna ask for different things, right? We ask God for, oh, please give me this, please give me that, please allow it. We surrender so much of our power to God when God is actually laughing. He's like, yo, you're almighty, you're all powerful because you're made in my image. And God wants to see how powerful you are on your own. And so now, with this new, more mature, higher perspective, you will actually ask, God, give me the lessons so that I could overcome and learn and give me what I need, not what I want. Right? When we have a limited spirituality, we're like, yo, God, just give me a raise, give me a better job, just, I want that better car, help me get this. And God just laughs because he's like, yo, those are limited, very superficial things. So a higher perspective on a more phenomenal, game-changing year is just you asking, yo, I just want to grow. Give me the lessons so that I could just quickly embody what I need to understand how powerful I am in his image, of course. And so when we seek growth versus things, what are we doing is we're valuing who we're becoming. So unless you truly value who you're becoming and you give and you assign all the worth to who you are, just in the essence, then at that point you're valuable when you're in a room and you're standing there and perhaps nude or your bank account says 0, which I've fucking been there. When you have nothing, and the tide has gone out and you're standing there in the ocean nude with nothing, your bank account is super low or at 0, and you're just naked figuratively in a sense, and you've lost all the things or you've given them up. Your ability to look in the mirror and say, yo, I'm just because I don't have those things don't mean I'm worth nothing. Then with that higher perspective, you could say, when you're standing in a room, it doesn't matter what's in your bank account, what you're wearing, what fancy things you have. None of that matters. You see value in yourself just because of the man that you are, and just because of the energy and the attitude and the potential that you have because of your mindset. And whether you accept it or not, people can feel that energy. People will respect that energy, and people will be drawn towards that energy. So for you to see power and value in the essence of who you are, and the character and the attitude, which is your self-image, when you look in the mirror, for you to find value that and truly respect it and adore it and fall in love with it, takes a lot of courage. And that's why, if you relate to this video, if you come from that brokenness, yo, respect to you, because that doesn't happen to everyone. Now, when we seek growth from that state of mind, from that mind frame, it naturally communicates to the universe that you don't want everything to just be perfect and easy. What it says is, yo, let's go. It's gonna be hard, yo, bring it. And so this is how you fast forward development. As the universe and God are like, okay, this is what you need. You need to equip this. You need better nutritional habits. You need more spirituality. These are the people that you need. And God starts bringing different people into your life. Maybe this video, maybe certain qualities, And God's structures, like the universe doesn't make mistakes. And a lot of those are not going to be positive things. A lot of those elements and new configurations in your life and your reality that you're seeing are going to be challenges. They're going to be hurdles. They're going to break you. But just know and trust in your faithful journey that all the challenging obstacles, what we call adversity, that is all to build you and help you understand. So you have to have that perspective on everything. That's the unbreakable, relentless attitude that you carry, where you're unshakable, per se. Where things happen to you and you're like, yo, well, it's all good. Where normal people, that occurrence would be devastating. But when you're a righteous individual and you see and you feel and you can see beyond just on the surface, you could feel like, oh shit, this is gonna make me more powerful. I see what it taught me. I see how it's equipping me. And I see that I don't have to make this mistake anymore. And that just adds to my greatness. That just adds to my energy. And you take it. And so now your tool set is more equipped. And so at that point, you're in a state of gratitude. And you're in a grounded alignment of saying, yo, thank you for allowing me to understand this, even though it was horrible and it felt dark and it felt empty. And from there, you bring yourself back up, right? And that builds confidence. So once you start to have this very personal relationship, then you are primed to have a magnificent year, because now you're in a completely different league than where everybody else is so stuck with they're so emotionally attached to all the things that make them look better on the outside. But now you're like, yo, all that shit, that's very limiting. It's a very small picture of how I can get to my full potential, right? And a phenomenal game-changing year, like the game changer is when you get to the inside, when you get to the roots, right? When you're transforming a vehicle, you got to get to the inside, to the engine, to the internal components and mechanisms that actually drive that power, right? And from an engineering perspective, when we look at what makes a vehicle powerful, it's the internal engine. It's the components of how fluid and aligned they are within its design. So for you to be powerful and have a game-changing year, you got to show up to the world building strength from the inside out. And that means character, personality, inner dialogue, and how you see yourself, so that you can accept that you are the gift, that you are the motherfucking miracle. So we surrender our power when we're like, yo, I just want this, and I want to create this, and I want to do this. And I'm like, yo, you're indirectly saying that you're not powerful when you give up all your power to other people. Like, how you feel about yourself depends on what other people think of you. How you feel about yourself depends on how much there is on your bank account. How you feel about yourself depends on your position at work. How you feel about yourself depends on like what you look like in the mirror. So that indirectly says, yo, I'm not powerful. And until you realize, yo, none of that shit makes me powerful. What makes me powerful is how I feel about myself regardless of all these things. And I guarantee that when you start to respect yourself and think of yourself in those high regards, no matter what people say about you, that's gonna retune your energy and recalibrate you and put you in a whole different league. Yeah, it might be a slimmer path because everybody's on this broad path, but to be able to walk this narrow path and say, yo, I'm pursuing greatness from the inside out. Everybody's pursuing greatness from the outside in. Everybody thinks that making more money, everybody thinks that position at work, everybody thinks that creating that perfect, external beauty, everybody thinks that that's gonna get them to where that's a very slow, possibly turbulent and confusing journey. The more righteous, higher journey is when you're like, yo, I want to build greatness from the inside out. And the main difference from someone that values themselves for who they are, just energetically in the very present, like yesterday, tomorrow, what's in the bank, all that, the fuck, it doesn't matter how I feel about myself. The main difference between that versus someone else that doesn't have their power, they surrender their power to everything externally. They're not powerful unless they have the things. And you'll know that you're not a powerful being when these things are gone. Like if you lose your home, if you lose your car, if you lose your job, and you're like, oh shit, I'm no one, which is where I've been. Then that indirectly says, well, you gave your power to all the external things. And so you have no more power. Why? Because you have no more money. You lost your home, you lost your cars, you lost your career, you lost your job, you lost your relationship, and now you feel empty. That indirectly says that all your power was given. You assigned all your power to everything external of you. So no shit you feel weak, no shit you feel empty. Why? Because your power was never invested in the essence of who you are. But a righteous man, a righteous individual, someone with mature spirituality, they understand that they're all powerful and that the universe works for them in case that you lost your relationship, you lost your career, you lost all the things that gave you stability, because your faith and that unwavering faith that you have, it protects you, it guides you, it's got you. It'll never let you fall and stumble that hard to where you have nothing. Like, you are provided for. And so because of that faith, you're like, yo, the value in the essence of who I am, it comes from how I feel about myself and my ability to know that I can get back up if I have to go to ground zero. So that's the difference. Someone that values everything external of them and prioritizes that by giving it its attention. So think about this year. What do you want this year in 2022? That's going to tell you where the fuck you're at on the spectrum of how you vibrate. If you're vibrating low, you're going to want things, and you're going to want all these things external of you. If you're vibrating high, you're like, yo, I just want the lessons so that I can transform and develop and really build the character so that I could really step into the higher version of me, so that things can come to me. I don't have to come to anything. I don't have to, so that I have a pulling magnetic force. When you assign your power and surrender it to all these external things to make you feel good, you always, there's this pushing. You're always pushing, you're always forcing. I learned this in sales and business. When you need other people, and when you need money, and you need all these other things, you push. And so there's this pushing brute force, right? You work harder, and there's this pushing ability, right? Because you don't have the power within. And powerful beings, a powerful year, a powerful game-changing year, circumstances and situations and people, they come to you. Money flows to you. And so that's a big takeaway from this video, is you must get to the vibration internally where things start coming to you, because you're aligned, right? So if you're in your higher self and your higher truth and more aligned to your purpose, and you're happy with who you are without all these things that I'm talking about, things are going to start to come to you. There's going to be a magnetic pull towards you. And at the same time, you're going to repel people that feel like, whoa, shit, like he's too much for me. Right? So you're going to also repel, because you're vibrating this aura of so much truth and realness, that someone that doesn't accept and have compassion for them, someone that's not going to relate to your realness, to your truth, to your rawness, well, number one, they're not going to be intrigued by it, and they're not going to respect it because they don't understand it. And so this is a real way to connect with people that you're meant to connect with. The more that you're in your truth and on your purpose, and the more that you're pursuing greatness from the inside out, the more that you're going to repel people that are not taking that path. And no shame, don't judge them. It's just they don't know what they don't know. They're pursuing greatness from the outside in. They think that by having these things and the money and the position and the career, they see all that as critical to them feeling good about themselves. When they see someone that's coming from the opposite perspective, that's like, yo, money actually comes to me. People flow to me, and I'm in that frequency. When they feel your frequency, number one, they're going to be intimidated by it. They're not going to understand it. It's going to confuse them, and they're not going to be intrigued or attracted to it. So, in essence, to have a phenomenal year and to be powerful, you got to be in your truth. You got to be aligned to developing from the inside out. And at that point, you will surely, I guarantee you, start to attract people that are on that same path, that are on the same journey, that you can relate to, that you can connect to, so that you could build and collaborate with and help expand each other in whatever way, shape, or form. When we start to connect to people that relate to us, and when we have this common ground, you don't need to have a big circle. I think 2021 has been my slimmest circle. All right, I got a low battery, so I got to wrap up. But I'm very passionate about this, so I can keep going forever. So when we brain fart. So when we limit our, minimize our circle, and we say, hey, I only want to be around people that are like really about the growth, about the internal growth. What that does is that cleanses your circle. And now you don't have all this bullshit, and you don't have all these, confusing things, because it's just pure thoughts of positivity, of growth, of nurturing good habits. And I think that's really important for you to be around like-minded individuals. And a lot of these individuals that, when I think of like, how does someone get there? Like, how did I get there? For me to really connect and have like a common ground with someone, I think they have to come from a lot of hardship, and they have to come from adversity, and they have to understand, like, to really appreciate wholeness and to aspire. And a phenomenal year is a whole year. It's the complete you, a whole individual is what I'm saying. And for someone to appreciate wholeness and recognize and be able to see it from the inside out, they have to understand what brokenness felt like. So there's this weird, you got to understand both ends of the spectrum. Is to become whole, you come naturally from brokenness, and because you aspire towards wholeness and completeness and that development, it's because you come from this darkness. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to recognize it and see it in other people, and be able to say and relate to it, and be able to say, respect, I appreciate you. And that's how you could stay light, is just say, hey, you know what, I just want to be around the right people this year. And I'm going to close this video up by saying, if you've gone through that adversity, and if you've gone through a lot of that struggle where you had to like pick yourself back up, and when you felt fucking super alone because you lost so many things, and you're like, where do I begin to, but you stuck it through, and you're like, I gotta get back up. Or perhaps if you're going through that right now, and you're just revisiting and looking at like, I think I want to make a big change. Like, I want to let you know that if you're open to big transformation, you are the biggest inspiration in my life. When I think of what inspires me, when I think of what turns me on, what grasps my attention is the possibility to influence someone and to change their life, because people did that to me. I had older OGs mentor me. And so I want to let you know that you're my biggest inspiration. And I know that I may just be talking to one young man that's like, I'm going through some shit right now. But there's that little speck, there's that little thought in your head of like, damn, I don't have all the things that other people have, and shit just didn't work out for me. But fuck, deep down inside, I know I'm a badass. I know I'm fucking great. And you haven't lost all hope. You may be confused or quite lonely, and you're like, shit, how am I gonna get through this? And I'm not sure, but you haven't lost hope, and you haven't lost faith, and you're like, damn, everything's gonna go my way in a timely manner. But you haven't thrown in the towel. Like, I want you to know that you're my biggest inspiration, because you're the biggest hope that humanity has, because you're empty, you're light. And that's the takeaway that I want to leave you with in 2021. Stay light. When you think of like adding more bills, adding more expenses, adding more responsibility, when you think of every time like you're meeting new people and you have more friends, and you think of like getting stuck into all these other things, just know that you're going the opposite direction of greatness. Greatness wants to, if you're spiritual, greatness needs to be light and nimble, so that you could flow and be open to what the universe has to offer for you. And when you have all these bills and expenses, and you're overbooked, and your schedule is so robust, and like you're flustered, and you're everywhere, and you have no time for meditation, prayer, grounding, no time for dancing, playing, sports, to be active, no time to be passionate, to when you don't have any time for that shit, man, this world's got you sucked in, man. You're done. How can you serve and be greater towards humanity? How can you honor God? How can you honor your body? How can you fulfill and come from a place of wholeness to show up and inspire others when you can't do that to yourself because this world is dominating your mind? So you're not in control. You've lost your power. And I'm here to give you back your power and explain to you to get back your power. You're gonna have to acknowledge first that you're almighty and you're all powerful and the universe supports you. It's got your back, but you need to lighten your load and you need to fucking relax and chill and learn how to say no, because you've been saying yes to everything. You're so overbooked, you're so congested, you're so clogged that you can't think clearly. So stay light is the message. To have a phenomenal year, you must stay light and you must stay open and receptive to what God and the universe have for you. And then everything else in due time, as you learn the lessons and build that relationship with yourself, it will conspire to meet your wishes. And I guarantee you, you will start pulling more than pushing. No more need to seek, to chase, to feel needy and to want. At that point, you just chill and you're just like, yo, you observe. And you're like, yo. And when something great happens and money flows to you, you're like, bet, that's what's up. And so you live with this more relaxed ease. And then the miraculous can happen because you realize that you're the miracle. So this video is to shift your perspective, to let you know, yo, you're the fucking miracle. And when you start to respect and honor yourself and nurture the habits of greatness and value energy, value the essence of who you are versus material things, then you could tap into out of this world experiences, and then circumstances. Your consciousness starts to dictate the circumstances, opportunities, blessings, meaningful relationships, fun, adventure, dancing, play, all that, it just starts to flow to you. Why? Because you as a king create that. You're like, I am fun, I am spirituality, I am playfulness, I am fucking whatever you want to be. And when you start to embody that, you're going to start to notice when you look around, you're like, oh shit, man, life is just fun. And things come to me versus you have to chase things all the time. And I want you to know that if you're in that place right now, or if you were in that place, you inspire me the most. Because you have more hope than most people. Because most people, they're wrapped up in only their career and only their responsibilities. They have so many attachments that they're not free to grow and to be of service to humanity. And I know from your perspective, you may be thinking, damn, I don't have shit, I don't have much, I don't have that much money, and things haven't worked my way, and you feel like the universe is against you. But actually, let me know that I'm letting you know right now that actually you are potential. And because you have surrendered all your things, or they've been taken from you, you're a clean slate. You could be more powerful than anybody because you get to rebuild and transform yourself. So if you're at that juncture where you're like, I want to make 2022 fucking spectacular, then I would start to surrender a lot of those habits that don't support your greatness, don't add on to you. A lot of our habits, they take from us. People, relationships that are taking more from us, they're no good for us. So I want you to know that you're powerful because shit, you got what most people have, is freedom. Maybe you have a lot of time, but you don't have a lot of money. And maybe you're just very spiritual, you know a lot, but you gotta put that into action, that faith put into action. So I want you to know that power doesn't necessarily mean having all the things that everybody has. Power means being clean and being neutral and being able to start over. That is the gift, and that is what life has to offer. That's the most beautiful gift, is the ability to regenerate, to renew, to transform. And if you're going through that darkness, I can tell you I fucking love you because I know where you're coming from, and you inspire me. All right, so stay strong from the inside out. Prism, I'm out.